In July 2016, a diver named Jacob Childs went on a group diving trip off the coast of southeast Queensland, Australia. The boat stopped roughly 35 miles, or about 56 kilometers, from the coast, and Jacob was the second to last person to dive. About a minute after entering the water, the diving line slipped out of his hand. He thought he could swim back to the boat and start over, but as he got closer, he realized the rope had been pulled in. Before he could decide what to do next, a strong current swept across the ocean's surface and separated him from the boat. To make matters worse, the captain of the boat had also sped off to go fishing while everyone was diving. By the time the other divers returned to the boat and realized Jacob was missing, he was already completely out of sight, leaving him stranded in the middle of the ocean, 35 miles from the nearest land. The distance from land was not Jacob's only concern. The water around him was nearly 20 degrees Celsius, or about 68 degrees Fahrenheit. It was not cold enough to make him freeze immediately, but it was cold enough to slowly drain his body heat, making him more vulnerable to hypothermia and exhaustion with every passing minute. It was also late in the afternoon, and the sun was about to go down, which meant the situation was only going to become worse. A rescue plane flew above him twice, but it did not see him. This happened while it was still bright outside, and while his inflatable marker was visible from a distance. Jacob knew that once it became dark, his chances of being rescued would drop almost to zero.
Well, the sun's going down. I'm trying to chase after a trawler for about an hour, but obviously I couldn't keep up. So that's it. If the sun goes down, they won't do nothing. That's a wrap on old.
At that moment, there was nothing he could do except wait and continue recording what he feared might be his final message to his family. Trying to identify the correct direction and swim over 35 miles would have been almost impossible. If he had attempted to reach the coast, he likely would have exhausted himself and drowned along the way. He did try to follow a fishing boat he saw in the distance, but he quickly realized he would not get close enough to attract its attention, leaving him feeling entirely dejected.
It's way too far for me. It'd be like 15, 16.
Furthermore, swimming too far from his original location would have reduced his chances of being saved, as rescue teams would no longer know where to search. As the sky grew darker and the rescue plane failed to spot him multiple times, frustration began to set in. On top of that, the salty seawater was making him extremely dehydrated, worsening his chances of survival by the minute. However, Jacob was experienced enough to know that panicking or getting angry would not help. The best thing he could do was stay in one place and use as little energy as possible. After drifting in the middle of the ocean for more than 6 hours, he was finally spotted by a helicopter and brought to safety on a rescue boat. With the sun nearly below the horizon, he came dangerously close to losing his life that day. Fortunately, he recovered without any permanent injuries. On May 26, 2013, a group of 3 tugboats was trying to stabilize an oil tanker during a harsh storm nearly 20 miles, or 32 kilometers, off the coast of Nigeria. One of the boats, named Jascon 4, was hit by a massive rogue wave. The wave capsized the boat, causing it to sink rapidly and disappear below the surface within seconds. The company behind the operation, West African Ventures, immediately launched a rescue mission. However, the harsh weather made any immediate rescue effort nearly impossible. A helicopter was eventually sent to look for survivors who might have managed to swim back to the surface. Unfortunately, even after a full day of searching, they did not find a single member of Jascon 4's crew alive. This left the company with no choice but to presume the crew dead and begin a body recovery mission instead. The task of retrieving the remains was given to 6 saturation divers who had been laying underwater oil pipes nearby. They were chosen simply because they were the closest divers to the site of the incident. Still, it took them around a day to reach the area and begin searching for Jascon 4. The harsh waves had shifted the vessel far from where it had capsized, causing even more time to be lost before the recovery mission could begin. Unfortunately, that was far from the only hurdle the rescue divers would face. Once they located Jascon 4 and went down to it, they discovered that the boat had turned upside down. It was resting on its main mast, which could collapse at any moment. Because of significant pirate activity in the area, all of the boat's entrances were locked shut, forcing the divers to use specialized underwater torches to gain access. By the afternoon of May 28th, 2 days after Jascon 4 had sunk, the recovery team had found the remains of 4 crew members, while 2 others were still missing. Just as all hope seemed lost, one of the divers, Tony Walker, made an incredible discovery. Tony was being instructed from the surface by his supervisor, Kobe Verrett. He was also breathing a gas mixture that contained helium, which made his voice sound higher. While searching the upside-down boat, Tony came across what looked like a human hand. He assumed it belonged to another dead crew member, but to his shock, the hand moved and grabbed him.
All right, how are you doing, Nico? Just talk to me and I'll help you, eh? Okay, so have you come into the next deck? Onto the main deck? All right, so you should be walking on the ceiling, yeah? Okay. What's that? Oh, okay. All right, you found one, yeah? He's alive, he's alive. Okay, keep him there, keep him there. All right, just, all right, just hold him there, okay? Just keep him there. Fucking hell, I don't know what we're gonna do now. All right, just keep him there and keep him calm, okay? All right, just reassure him, pat him on the shoulder. Okay.
The person was alive. It was 29-year-old Harrison Okene, the resident cook on Jascon 4. After more than 60 hours underwater, Harrison was somehow still alive. He was also aware of what was happening around him and remained calm enough to help the rescuers do their job. Harrison had been in the bathroom when the boat capsized. He tried to rush to the emergency hatch, but water rushed in and trapped the crew inside. As far as he knew, he was the only person who had survived, managing to create a makeshift indoor raft using plywood, cardboard, and a mattress. After finding him, the rescuers gave Harrison fresh water and secured him with a harness to keep him close. However, the divers knew they did not have much time to plan a proper rescue. The air pocket Harrison was trapped in was nearly gone and likely had less than an hour left. If they did not act quickly, he could suffocate. At the same time, they could not simply tie him to a rope and pull him to the surface. He had already spent more than 2.5 days in an extremely high-pressure environment. Bringing him up too quickly could have caused decompression sickness, which can be deadly in severe cases. Fortunately, because the divers worked on underwater oil pipes, they were equipped to handle this kind of situation. They had a pressurized diving bell attached to their vessel, and after consulting a doctor, they placed Harrison inside it. If this had been a normal diving crew with regular scuba gear, they would not have had the equipment needed to keep him alive. Once he reached the surface, Harrison also had to spend time in a decompression chamber to avoid decompression sickness. Physically, he recovered fairly well. Mentally, however, the trauma of being trapped inside an upside-down boat on the ocean floor for more than 2 days, with no idea if anyone was coming to save him, left him with PTSD, a condition he continues to recover from to this day. On December 13, 2013, YouTuber Kodiak Thunder uploaded a video showing a near-death experience he had while diving. Unlike many divers, Kodiak was not trying to dive as deep as possible or reach a famous underwater landmark. His dives were more focused on catching fish and crustaceans by hand or with a spear gun. But while chasing a lobster, He swam too far into an underwater cave. He managed to catch the lobster, but when he turned around, he had no idea how to get out. Fortunately, after swimming around the cave for a few minutes, he eventually found the exit and escaped without serious trouble. However, he was incredibly lucky. Diving itself is inherently dangerous, and a single distraction can quickly turn into an irreversible tragedy. But unless divers are extremely deep, they usually still have the option to swim up to the surface and wait for rescue. That is not the case with cave diving. One of the main hazards inside underwater caves is the environment itself. Unlike the open ocean, many underwater caves have floors covered in extremely fine silt. A poorly controlled fin kick, or even regulator bubbles hitting the ceiling, can dislodge this sediment and create a silt out. This is a condition where underwater visibility drops to zero almost instantly. A diver's high-powered lights become useless, and in extreme cases, the diver cannot even see their own hands, let alone their surroundings. This also means they cannot see their gauges or guidelines. In short, they no longer know where they are going, where they are supposed to go, or whether they are using the right gas mixture. At best, they can keep swimming and hope the cave is straight enough to eventually lead them out of the murky water. But if they cannot monitor their gas levels, nitrogen poisoning can become a serious problem. It affects both cognitive and motor function, leaving them to take their final breaths inside the cave unless someone is there to rescue them. Even then, rescue is not always possible. Many underwater caves are extremely narrow, and with tanks and other essential gear, navigating tight spaces becomes even harder. In many cases, there is not enough room to turn around. If one diver passes out, the others can become trapped behind them and lose their lives as well. While exploring the seafloor, a diver was suddenly overshadowed by a massive cargo ship, its enormous hull completely blocking out the sunlight as it passed directly overhead. The sound of the propeller cutting through the water grew increasingly louder, creating a deafening mechanical roar that filled the depths as the giant blade spun closer. He was tethered by a single, thin line, the only thing preventing him from being pulled into the propeller's deadly wake and turned into chum. As the ship's underside moved past, huge rusted nails jutted out from the wooden boards, any one of them capable of snagging him and dragging him along the hull. He survived by mere inches. Yet local reports suggest that divers continually return to this exact spot for the adrenaline rush, willingly putting themselves in the direct path of these freighters, just to experience the sheer terror of the propeller passing overhead. In February 2021, an open-water diver made the fateful decision to explore the lower Orange Grove Cave without any prior cave diving training. His helmet camera captured the terrifying moment he realized he had made a fatal mistake. He entered the cave system equipped with only a single tank, one light, and no guideline, breaking nearly every fundamental safety rule that keeps cave divers alive. He lacked specialized training, redundant gas supplies, and any understanding of proper line laying or buoyancy control. carelessly kicking up silt and colliding with delicate rock formations. For the first few minutes, he ventured deeper into the cave system, completely unaware of the extreme danger he was swimming into. Then, the situation drastically changed. His breathing became increasingly erratic and panicked as the terrifying realization set in. He was lost. The cave that had seemed so easily navigable just moments before had transformed into a disorienting maze of tunnels obscured by silted water, and he had no guideline to lead him back to safety. On the recording, his rapid breathing is audible as panic takes over, with each breath sounding more desperate than the last, while he frantically searches for an exit. Ultimately, he survived through sheer luck, miraculously finding his way out when he easily could have become another tragic statistic. In August 2020, a recovery diver descended into the wreckage of the MV Thomas Aquinas, 3 weeks after it had tragically sunk. His mission was to search areas that had previously been deemed too dangerous to enter due to floating debris. However, what he discovered wedged between freshly broken windows would haunt him for the rest of his life. The dive team was moving toward the bridge to begin their ascent, running critically low on air after spending hours navigating the submerged vessel. Earlier that morning, the Philippine Navy had broken several windows to gain access to previously untouched sections of the ship. As the diver moved alongside the freshly shattered glass, something unexpected caught his eye. A dark duffel bag tightly wedged inside one of the window frames. He paused and pulled it free, initially unsure why he even bothered. But as he moved it aside, he glanced down and saw a sight that made his heart stop. What appeared to be a human foot wrapped tightly in clear plastic. At that exact moment, his dive partner, Shelley, made an alarmed noise through her regulator, signaling that she had seen something as well. He swam toward her position and quickly realized they were both staring at the same grim discovery from different angles. The victim was later listed as numbers 73 to 76 in the official recovery records. Although the diver saw her name on the list a week after the expedition, he was advised that it was better not to know her identity. Some discoveries made in the depths of the ocean stay with divers long after they surface, and that day in the wreckage of the Thomas Aquinas, he found something he wishes he could permanently forget.